Hello and welcome back to True Crime Guys Podcast. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Michael.
How's everybody doing? We're back. I'm back from vacation, ready to cover a murder mystery for you fellas and ladies.
Oh, we got a good one. Man. A little trials at the workplace in this one.
Right. Business partners.
A lot of sneaky shit going on. Business partners. Oof.
Who knows where our relationship will be, Michael, if we're business partners for 30 years doing this.
Who knows? It doesn't look good. Yeah, it doesn't look good, man. Who knows?
Yeah. Let's just agree to never take out life insurance policies on each other.
That's right. I think that's where people go wrong.
Right.
If you're not worth anything, why would they want to kill you? Yeah, you're worth more to me alive, Lauren, to be honest. So I don't think you have to worry about that.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Because,
good.
Although we'd probably still have a good amount of people listen if one of us dropped out and it was just one of us doing it, I think we would lose a considerable amount of listenership. Because there's Michael people, there's Lauren people, and there's people that just like the two of us together, the dynamic. And
right. Yeah. I mean, we don't want to disappoint anyone at this point.
Yeah,
but
I
this
agree.
couple was
let's keep it that way.
Let's
Let's keep it to where we're more valuable with each other alive than dead.
I agree. That's a great plan.
Deal. Shake on it.
All right. All right, man. You ready to get into this?
Let's do this.
At Al Zullo's, the Don't Move Improve folks, where one call does it all.
One call does it all. Downs another sleeping pill and starts to fall on the sofa, but it's on fire. One call does it all. You want the best deal, you know who to call. Top salesman every year since he was hired. One call does it all. She said he couldn't cut it, so he started to fall into a spiraling state of revenge. One call does it all. You think Zullo would be proud of y'all and the way his business came to an end. One call does it all. He threw him from the bridge, watched the secrets fall, only to land on a piece of ice. One call does it all. He probably shit a brick when he got the call, and his reputation wasn't all that nice. One call does it all. Gonna hang it up, call it a curtain call, until she was murdered in the hall. 'Cause one call, oh, a curtain call.
All right, for our case this week, we're going to Illinois.
It's been a while.
I think it was it's a town a little bit west of Chicago, right? Loves Park, Illinois.
Yeah, Loves Park. And part of this story takes place in Rockford, too, which is I think that's the only town in Illinois I know I've been for sure. Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of a more major, larger city, right? And Loves Park was it seems like it was a smaller town, not far from Rockford. We have a couple of main study sources for this case that we used. Television episode of Murder in the Heartland, Season 2, Episode 5, titled Bad for Business. And also, every great true crime thing should have a Forensic Files episode. That's what got me into true crime was Forensic Files. I love everything about it. And there's an episode on this case, Season 13, Episode 1, titled Frozen Assets. They always have the great titles, too.
Oh, yeah. You got to have the play on words. That's just a true crime must, right? So that's a little bit of foreshadowing there, Frozen Assets. But it is Illinois, and it gets cold in Illinois. That's no secret.
Yeah, and ice plays a major role in this one.
Yes, it does.
And you may be thinking that the person that was murdered was frozen or something. That's not it. It's a much funnier thing that happened.
It's much funnier involving ice, no doubt.
Right.
Which we usually can't say in a murder. But in this case, in this strange case.
Yeah. So let's talk about a business. We alluded to business partners and things like that. This case is centered around a business called Zullo Remodeling Specialists. And in this business, there was the owner, Al Zullo, who owned, started the business and took in some employees. And he was a great business owner, a small business owner, and that did what most people hope that a small business owner does, and like promotes from within and gives, his good employees opportunities.
Passes the torch.
And eventually leaves the business to the great employees that he has. And that's exactly what Al Zullo did. Seemed like a swell guy.
Yeah. He had 2 employees that he really loved and trusted, and were already big parts of the company, and that just makes sense to let them, especially when they were handling different parts of the company.
Exactly. They began to run this company after Al Zullo would pass away. He would hand over the business to 2 benefactors of this, MaryAnn Clibbery and George Hansen. They were partners in the Loves Park, Illinois company, named after the original owner, Al Zullo. Before he died in 2000, he decided to leave the business to MaryAnn and George to reward their loyalty.
Wow.
So
that's hell of a reward.
She had started there. MaryAnn had started there as a secretary in 1959, and George had gotten on board at some point in the 1960s. And together they would run this business successfully for the next 30 plus years. At Zullo Remodeling Specialists, George Hansen handled sales, and MaryAnn Clibbery did the finances. George did a lot more than just sales. He was doing estimates, and he would go out, and he was basically like the contractor, the general contractor for the company, I would say. Like, he would go and just like make sure that the workers were doing everything right and all the nuts and bolts of the operation, whereas MaryAnn was on the back end dealing with all the complicated financial stuff of running a business properly without, screwing up on taxes and all that stuff. Yeah,
when you say George handled sales, that's a very broad term. For sure. Yeah, he was the face of the company. He was out there. He was probably going out and giving people quotes, and working with people on the front lines.
I would say they both were, because they also had the local TV commercials for businesses that we're all familiar with. No matter where you live, you know that the corny local business commercials that come on all the time.
Yes.
We get just bombarded with them, mainly being local attorney law firms and stuff, like accident attorneys.
In Vegas.
Like, it's funny because the quote. I think most major cities are like that. It's like you just get bombarded with attorney commercials, but it's funny because their catchphrase for Al Zullo Remodeling Specialists on the TV commercials that they would do all the time, they were just one of these businesses. They were just always doing advertising, and you would see both MaryAnn and George in these commercials, and their catchphrase was "One call does it all."
That's it.
And it's hilarious because I talk about local attorneys and stuff in all their commercials. And we have a guy, Glenn Lerner, in Las Vegas, who I've just grown up getting annoyed by. His one call, that's all. I'm the heavy hitter, Glenn Lerner.
Glenn Lerner is, his law offices are nationwide. I'm sure we have listeners all.
They went nationwide. They started in Vegas.
They started in Vegas, and I think he is in Vegas. But he has law offices nationwide, and he's on those commercials all over the place. All over the place, yes.
That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, the heavy hitter. He always do the commercials where he's swinging a bat and stuff, and he's all like steroided up.
Oh yeah, it's a defense attorney, bro. You got to be intimidating.
Don't sue me, Glenn. I'm allegedly on steroids.
Allegedly, and I'm sure he's on the good stuff. Glenn. If he is, yeah.
Oh yeah,
the heavy hitter.
MaryAnn was described as a great person, a mother and friend. She was good with people, kind-hearted, and would go out of her way to help people. George didn't have the same reputation. He was more hard-nosed, get the business done, kind of grumpy at times, but their business dynamic worked.
I was about to say, to be fair, you kind of need both those people.
There was a yin and yang to that, I suppose.
Yeah,
right?
Because if they're both like that, your employees are going to run over you. But if you have, if you play good boss, bad boss, you can kind of give employees what they want, but also you don't get run over at the same time. Yeah,
exactly. MaryAnn had worked for everything she had, and once she had everything, she gave it back to people who needed it. She was known to take money out of her own wages to give to employees under her. If they requested a raise, or if something happened with their check, if there was a delay, she would pay them out of her own pocket at times.
Wow, kind of like front them the money until payday. Well, she knew the finances. She knew she was going to get hers.
Yeah, right.
I was like, you could just give them their check early, or pay them more. I mean, you are the boss.
Well, and also we're going to go into her background, and she was a widow, and I'm not sure how that worked out. If she got some sort of a life insurance payout from her, former husband, or if she was left, some sort of a large stipend from
Right.
that. But let's get into her background real quick. Born MaryAnn Romaine on May 21st, 1935. She shares a birthday with an amazing group, dude. Amazing.
This is.
The Notorious B.I.G., Mr. T, Chris Benoit, and Josh Allen
way.
Of the Buffalo Bills. Fantastic fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, seriously. What a group. Chris
What a
Benoit,
group. We got,
rest his soul, right?
Yeah. Somebody that we'll probably end up doing a case on
I
at
think
some
so.
point. Chris Benoit, who unfortunately suffered a lot of brain trauma over the years of wrestling and unfortunately killed himself and his family.
We definitely need to cover that.
But man, Notorious B.I.G. tops the
Legend.
list, hands down. I mean,
Legend.
Yeah, absolute legend.
Absolutely.
And then you have Mr. T. Pity
the Fool, man. Household name, probably the most famous person on this list for sure. Oh,
You
yeah.
think so? I'd have to go B.I.G. on that one.
No. Across generations, you show a picture of Mr. T to my grandfather, he knows who he is.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. That mohawk.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
the
he's
gold
definitely going to
earring.
know who he is. Yeah. But if you show him the Notorious B.I.G., it's, nah, he ain't going to know. He don't know nothing about Biggie.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, so she was born, MaryAnn was born in 1935. She had grown up in a family of 5 children who lived in the projects of Chicago, then moved to a house with no hot water in Rockford, Illinois. So came from very humble beginnings and worked her way up to being a co-owner in a successful business for many
Yeah,
years.
man. She was no hot water in Rockford. That sucks. I just wouldn't shower in the winter.
Yeah.
Be like, nah, I'm good. It's freezing there.
I also feel like she was born in 1935. I mean, that was like, I feel like not having
Yeah, you
hot
just heat
water
it up on the stove.
as a
You have
young
a
girl, and when you were growing up in the 40s is probably more run of the mill than anything else.
Yeah. That makes sense. You heat it up on the stove. You pour you a bath. You can make it, right?
God, that would take so long.
Just one kettle at a
The pot that you
time.
warmed up, the first pot that you warmed up and put in the bath would be cold by the time the second pot was ready.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
It might take a minute, dude. Might take a minute.
I'm just like, I'm taking a cold bath. Fuck it.
It's better for your skin, anyways.
Spray me with the hose once a week. That'll be good enough.
Exactly.
So MaryAnn would go on to have 5 children of her own and 2 marriages. At least one of her husbands left her widowed, and it's not clear whether she divorced or he passed away as far as the other one. So she had 2 husbands.
Not that there was anything-
and one of them passing away. So she may have been financially set from. There's very little information on her first 2 marriages, except that one of them passed away. So she may have gotten some sort of a payout from that.
Right.
And that's why she was comfortable financially to help out people around her and stuff.
That makes sense. And I wonder if that payout would have been affected by the fact, like, say she got married again, would she still be entitled to that payout, I wonder? Would that matter? I don't think that would matter, right?
No, of course not. No, if let's say she got a life insurance payout, yeah, like marrying again
It won't
doesn't matter
Yeah,
at
of
all.
course, it won't matter in that instance.
Yeah.
Okay, because she was with her boyfriend at this time
That
for 12 years.
that would apply if like you're talking like alimony or something
Yeah.
like that. I think if you yeah.
True that.
if you have a living ex who you depended on financially and you get money every month and then you find a new supporter
Yeah.
financially, a new husband or a new wife or something like that.
And that could have been the case because we don't really know, right, what happened with her last
Right.
husband.
That could have been the case with her second husband.
Right,
or something
exactly.
like that. I don't
Because
know.
it's just funny that she doesn't get married to Harold, and they were together for over 12 years.
Yeah,
Her boyfriend
that's
that
true.
she was with at the time. But I mean, it's just a piece of paper. You know what I mean? At that point, she's probably like, I've been married twice. I better not hex you. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just enjoy each other's company for the rest of our life. I understand that as well.
Right. Yeah, her and Harold Gene Sundin, who she was dating at the time this case takes place, I think they were both up there in age. They'd lived a lot of life. They'd been married. They'd done all of that, and they were just like happy to be with each other, and they didn't need they didn't need the binding contract or anything
Let's
like
keep
that.
each other company and help each other out for the rest of our lives. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so by 2004, MaryAnn, not in a marriage anymore, but had a long-term serious boyfriend in Harold Gene Sundin, with whom she'd been with for 12 years. And at age 69, she was thinking about retiring from the business. That's just
So close.
I hope to be well done by 69.
Oh, yeah. Jeez. I hope
You know
so,
what I mean?
too,
That's
brother.
just, but I guess if you enjoy your work, which it seemed like she
Mm-hmm.
did, then if you enjoy what you do, you never work a day
Yeah,
in your
but
life,
she
they say.
also was handed a big responsibility, early on. I mean, I'm sure she did enjoy her work, but I mean, she had employees it's just like you go from being an employee to, okay, here you go. All of these employees count on you now. Good luck.
Right.
You know, it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to just abandon them, especially someone like MaryAnn who cared about people, who was empathetic, you know? So,
yeah. So as we mentioned, by 2004, she was planning on retiring. Sadly, she never got the chance, and that's why we're covering this case. MaryAnn, after working at Zullo's Remodeling Specialists for over 3 decades, rather than riding off into the sunset and enjoying her golden years of retirement, as she planned, she was bludgeoned to death in the very place she had worked all those years. 3 days before Christmas, on December 22nd, 2004, an employee of Zullo named Randy arrived at the store at around 7 a.m. to start his shift. He found George Hansen sitting in the parking lot and also saw MaryAnn's car in the parking lot. George and Randy walked around to the back. So you got to think maybe the place is opening at 8 or 9 a.m. The employees get there an hour early to get everything going. It's not necessarily out of the norm for a few of them to meet in the parking lot and go open up together. Right. George and Randy walked around the back and found the back door to the business, open and unlocked. Then they saw MaryAnn lying face down in the hallway, covered in blood. Randy would call 911. He said that MaryAnn had been hit in the head and wasn't breathing. He can be heard saying, "She's gone, George." The Loves Park Police Department arrived at the scene and found that MaryAnn had been bludgeoned several times in the head. Her skull had been caved in, and there was blood spatter all over. Investigators determined that she had sustained 3 blows to the back of the head, plus other blunt force trauma inflicted during 2 separate attacks. And the way that they knew there was 2 separate attacks was there was blood that was coagulated, and then there was fresh blood over the top of that. So this was apparently someone had, done an initial attack, thought that she was dead, walked away to do other things. This building was ransacked. There was drawers and everything all open. Apparently, some sort of a robbery.
It appeared because of the blood coagulation that they could tell that the attacks took place about 15 minutes apart, which is pretty strange.
That's crazy that they can determine that time period, right? Like that's how advanced it is when it comes to the time periods of blood.
Yeah, I mean you're talking 2004 here, so yeah, they definitely got that knowledge in 2004. They crack in this case.
Yeah. It's just amazing to me down to the minute that they can do that,
Yeah. But it very much helped tell this story of this case.
Yeah, absolutely. The killer had apparently, as we mentioned, hit MaryAnn, attacked her again when they realized she wasn't dead. They estimated that she was killed at around 4 to 5 p.m. the night before.
After
she'd been there lying dead on the floor all night long.
Wow.
MaryAnn's boyfriend, who we talked about, who was an older man, he was distraught. Harold, he quotes, says, "I remember the dress she wore on our first date. It was blue with white polka dots. This poor old man,
he needed her."
That's one of the things that stick out about this case. He was interviewed in the specials that were done, like the cold case files. Just the sweetest old man, and just absolutely crestfallen after this.
Absolutely,
never got with anyone ever again. He passed away, I think, in 2019. Single and alone.
He was dependent on her in a lot of ways, man. He really needed her. Yeah. His eyesight was failing, which they talked about, in the documentary.
Yeah.
And that's tough. I mean, aging without someone to be your eyes, without someone to help you, and I'm sure, he did things for her as well.
More than anything, the companionship.
Right, exactly. And I mean, at that point in your life where you that just seems where everybody dips out. You know what I'm saying? If he doesn't have any kids of his own, doesn't have any family of his own.
Yeah, I was going to say, you get to that age where you'd like to think that your grandkids are going to come see you regularly and stuff, but they got a lot going on.
Exactly. Their lives are just getting started. You feel selfish asking them to come visit you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Meanwhile, MaryAnn's son, Robert Clear, who was a mailman, was working on his route when his supervisor told him about his mother's murder. Tough thing to find out when you're out on your mail route, for sure.
Absolutely.
MaryAnn would have a well-attended funeral mass take place in St. Anthony's Catholic Church while the police frantically searched to find, clues to who may have done this. As for the culprit in the brutal murder, everyone's first thought was that it was a random attack due to the circumstances.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Loves
and the
Park,
door was open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was unlocked.
Yeah.
There was no one there.
And MaryAnn, as we'll find out, had stayed late that night. So was it possible that, she was late working that night and someone found a door unlocked in the back? Maybe she had left the door unlocked because that's where she left from at night before she locked it, on her way out.
Makes perfect sense.
And Loves Park was near Rockford, Illinois, and Rockford was known at the time to have gang activity, drugs, prostitution. The police were well aware of different criminal activity that had gone on in Rockford.
Right.
And it was a short drive away from Loves Park. So the police would even go into two local motels in Rockford nearby Loves Park and get every name of everyone staying in the hotels there at the time to kind of look over who was there. Was there anyone with violent criminal history?
Right.
Just looking for potential
That just
leads.
seems like such a crazy first step to me. Right? To just go down the road? I don't know. I just feel like you guys don't even really know the crime scene yet. Maybe they did at the time, but I don't know. It just seems odd to me. It's like, let me go down the road and just check all these seedy hotels, just see who's in there.
Right. I thought, that kind of breaks the rule of what I've been told a million times in studying true crime and the way the detectives operate, which is you start closest, you start at the epicenter, and then you kind of work your way out from there, right? They're starting at the outside.
Working their way
first.
in.
That does seem, and especially when you see the way this thing ends up, it's like, you should have started nearest and then worked your way out. Absolutely. Another possible motive was robbery. There were drawers and cabinets pulled out in the store, and MaryAnn's purse was missing. However, it was determined by police that they believed this was a staged crime scene due to the fact that all of the electronics in the building, things that were easily removable and also quite valuable at the time, were left in place. And although drawers and all this stuff were left open, not much was taken. It was basically just MaryAnn's purse was taken. Almost nothing else from the building was taken.
Yeah, that's super surprising because anyone who's coming in to rob a business in the financial office, they have to know that those computers are worth more than what the computer is worth. It's the information
in 2004.
on the computer.
Nowadays, I feel like you might leave computers like electronics have become so cheap now, but I remember in the early 2000s, like a computer was expensive. You could take it to a pawn shop and get a good payout. Right. Nowadays, I don't feel like you're going to get more than $50 for most devices. I had like a MacBook that I brought to Best Buy and they offered me like $20. I'm like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Well, I could see it now, but in the early 2000s, that stuff was the first stuff to go, was the electronics and things like that.
And like I said, if not for just the value of the electronics, for the value of the information that's on the electronics. Like, they're not stupid. They see the checkbooks out there. They would see all that stuff. They would know, okay, this is an accounting office. They probably have sensitive account information from other businesses on here. If I'm a criminal, that's one of the first things I'm going to take. That just makes sense. But and the jewelry as well. That's just an easy lift right there.
The jewelry,
That's a weird sign.
Yeah, exactly. You already got up close and personal with her. You already bludgeoned her to death. Like, why wouldn't you take the expensive, valuable jewelry?
Exactly.
They determined it was most likely a staged crime scene based off the fact that computers, laptops, blank checks were all found in Mary's office, and she still had her expensive jewelry on. They then turned to MaryAnn's coworkers and ex-coworkers. First, they talked to Randy, who was one of the two men that had first entered the building and found MaryAnn dead. On the night of the murder, so the night before he came into work that next morning, he had quite an odd alibi for the night that she was killed. He said that he was at home sick, and yet he was at work the next morning.
Well, maybe he just he left work early Friday,
Yeah, maybe he was quote unquote sick, like many of us say when we're not at work.
You don't, or when you just want to leave. You're just like, I'm just over it today. Right. I am sick. I am definitely sick.
Or maybe he's one of those dicks that actually was sick and still came to work to get everyone else sick.
Oh, yeah. He could have been. Could have been one of those people too.
All of these are very possible. We all work with people that would do this stuff.
No doubt. Jesus.
So then police also investigated. This was a strong suspect here. Kevin Doyle, an employee that MaryAnn had recently fired after he messed up on the job and had costed the company quite a lot of money. I saw there were several different things in this case where I saw conflicting stuff between different sources.
About Kevin?
The Forensic Files episode said that he was distraught and he had chose to leave on his own. And then I've heard reports that MaryAnn fired him. So either way, he kind of left on bad terms from the business.
It's probably a who you ask
to have
situation.
Some issues. Yeah. Well, either way, he was known to have some issues.
He didn't leave on good terms. And let's say that.
No. And he was apparently very angry when he either left. This part of it matches up more with MaryAnn firing him because he was supposedly very angry and he confronted MaryAnn and George before he left. He also, when he left, had still had a set of keys to the business, which lines up with the murder because you think the door was unlocked. There was no forced entry.
Right.
So whoever had done this had gotten in with a key, or the door was left open by someone working there. A la MaryAnn was staying late, so maybe she left the door unlocked.
True.
Unlikely. If she's working late, you're more likely to keep the place locked.
I would think, but I mean, if the door was unlocked throughout the day for employees to come and go back from lunch breaks, and
then you just stayed late and you never thought to go lock it.
Exactly. You get comfortable there. I mean, she's worked there for 30 years.
Yeah. Another odd thing about Kevin Doyle was the day after the murder, he had apparently heard about the murder, and showed up to Al Zullo's, his former place of employment, and offered to return to work and help the business stay afloat. So he tries to help the family.
He's wanting to be overly helpful.
MaryAnn.
That's never a good sign. He's trying to implement himself.
Right, the person that interjects themselves into the crime is not usually a good sign.
No. We've seen this in so many cases. Like when someone, especially if they didn't have a good relationship with the deceased, and all of a sudden they're like, "How can I help? What can I help you do?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no lack of leads, for investigators in this case. They're dealing with this, and then there's also the matter of MaryAnn's relationship with her longtime business partner, George Hansen.
Can't be overlooked.
With whom she'd been, co-owners of this company for the past 30 years approximately. And in everybody's business life, they didn't get along quite as well as it seemed to in the commercials.
No kidding.
Although, even watching the commercials, it just seemed like George was just a stick, just a stiff.
Yeah, he was definitely putting on a face.
Just a blank stare at the camera the whole time.
Oh, God. Yeah, he's putting on a face, man. He's a salesman, It was second nature to him. He knew what he had to do to survive. He knew his role.
I got to say, though, there's good salesmen out there. I feel like we
no doubt. No doubt.
Shit on salesmen a lot in this.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
But if you are, let's say you're one of the good salesmen, you know some bad ones, the ones we're talking about.
Yeah. You know some bad ones. Y'all know what we're talking about.
The phony people.
There's a reason that Carvana and places like that are thriving right now.
Right. Well, most people are antisocial at this point, too.
That's true.
That always helps.
True.
So George was heard by many saying that he felt MaryAnn didn't deserve the partnership that Al Zullo left her. Now, remember, Al Zullo had left this company to the two of them to run, and George apparently felt that it should have just been left to him for some reason, even though MaryAnn had been there before he had gotten work at Al Zullo's. They'd both been there for a long time, don't get me wrong, but MaryAnn was there first, and she was very pivotal in the company's success as well. She was the likable person in the company.
Well, I think what happened here was this was a very smart decision by Zullo himself. He knew that George would run the company into the ground. But George's sales tactics could be utilized with someone who could wrangle him in, someone that Zullo could probably trust even more than George, someone who's been there since the beginning, MaryAnn.
Yeah.
But of course that angers George because at the beginning he doesn't have the free reins and the control of the company that he probably dreamed or thought he was going to have because probably him and Zullo went golfing together and all that shit,
MaryAnn would be in his way of siphoning every dollar out of this company for himself, as we'll see.
Right. That I wasn't going to say all that, but yeah, they're getting there.
She's the checks and balances. Maybe Al Zullo saw this coming.
Yes, you have to wonder, right? The way it turned out.
And let's get to the many things that pointed to old Georgie boy over here. Georgie. On December 22nd, the day after her body was discovered, one of MaryAnn's friends named Linda Cleveland came forward with some information. She said that MaryAnn had planned to retire, but began her own investigation when she noticed some money was missing from the business.
Damn it, MaryAnn, just retire.
She had yeah, right, MaryAnn, just walk away.
Just walk away, take your money.
Let George go to fucking jail for tax evasion or whatever he's going to get busted
Sign it
for.
all over to George.
Maybe send an anonymous letter with some information leading to his capture after you retire. Right. I don't know.
Something, man, if you could go back.
But she probably knew that, then that would mean the end of Al Zullo's this business that she loved, and the man that that left her this, it would all die,
and the employees that she cared about, who they were supporting.
Exactly. Yeah. It was selfless what she was doing. This was, she had her whole life planned out. She had plenty of money. She didn't need to do this, but she was doing it for the good of the business and for the other workers of this place,
or possibly to bring down George, which rightfully so. Even if she was, fair enough. The dude was fucking the company over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as she begins her own investigation, she noticed money was missing from the business. She had received information from clients and subcontractors that they hadn't received their payment. MaryAnn had visited her son during Thanksgiving, her son, the mailman, and told him and his wife that her brakes had been tampered with on her vehicle. And she believed that someone was trying to kill her. Mm-hmm. She believed that someone wanted her death to look like an accident and hoped her brakes would go out on the highway. That's such an old gag, right? I feel like that almost never works.
Dude, no, not now.
Because, like, guess what? You have to get to, like, the place where you go fast. You have to get to the highway, and you have to use your brakes to get there. Yeah. So, like, doing it in a way in which, you know, the brakes don't just give out when you're leaving your neighborhood.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, right? And when you back, well, first off, when you have to put your foot on your brake to start your car, 90% of cars. Okay, yeah. If it goes to the floor, then just get the fuck out. I mean, it's that easy. Worst case scenario, say your brake is stuck there, right? And it still has enough fluid to hold your brake there, okay, for somehow.
Yeah.
When you go to put it in reverse and you go back, you're going to have to hit your brake before you back up, or at the entrance to the road or the exit of the parking lot or whatever you're doing. You're going to have to brake before you pull out. So it's going to become very apparent to you. Yeah, that old gag never made sense to me, dude.
Also, anyone that's driven more than a year, I think if their brakes went out on the highway would have the wherewithal to think, I'm going to slowly apply the parking brake until my car, and start slowly going to the right and get into the shoulder and apply my parking brake until I come to a stop.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and let that baby coast.
It's not like the movies where you're going down like a hill, a mountain, and there's just sharp corners and like you just fly off the fucking mountain.
Oh, you mean it's
80.
not like Speed with Keanu Reeves? Or you're just
you got to keep it above 80
through the fucking city. I don't have any brakes.
This is just so funny
but
because
take your foot off the gas.
It makes so much sense though, doesn't it? That this murder, when we come to find out more about how dumb this person is, like of course they would try the old brake
they're so
trick.
fucking Looney Tunes, fucking Wile E. Coyote ass.
Looney Tunes is perfect, right?
This guy's ridiculous.
She had also told her friend Linda that someone had been drugging her coffee at work. Pink residue was found in her cup one day, and she had been taken home from work that same day. This is, like, once again, kind of comical. She was sleepy at work constantly because someone had been drugging her at work every day, and she was regularly known to pass out at work. And you know, there was some speculation that she was lazy and she was sleeping on the job, but then people that really knew her knew that wasn't her, that something was going on, and it would come to light that she'd been being drugged. On one of these days that she was drugged and had been taken home from work, earlier in that day, she passed out on the sofa because she had been drugged, and the sofa was set on fire. She awoke to a fire on the sofa she was sleeping on, put the fire out, and amazingly didn't alert the police to, you know, what was going on this.
I know, right? Like, what could you possibly... How was that fire set up to be an accident? Because they had to have done something to give her doubt, to make her feel like, okay, maybe it was this candle, or maybe it was electrical, or... something. I just don't get how you let that go.
I just think that maybe her knowing this perpetrator, knowing this person very well, was just not afraid of him because he was just a joke, you know? Like,
yeah.
I mean, obviously in the end, she was wrong on that, but like, this is kind of like such passive-aggressive ways of trying to kill a person. Like, you drug them and then try to set the couch on fire. Like, I don't know. Like,
it's like ways you know it's not going to work, but...
Yeah. She's like, all right. Like, I'm going to take you down. You know, it's just a matter of time. And I don't know. Maybe she knew she was close to getting everything together enough to get this person arrested.
Yeah, maybe. I think at first with the sleep medication, I think he's just trying to make her seem incompetent, right? To where maybe they could justify getting rid of her and just firing her, or pushing for her retirement. Maybe if he could get more people in the company to back him. You think? Because it's just...
But then you don't get the life insurance policy, which they had taken out on each other. You need her to die for that. $150K.
True that. It's quite a payout.
So MaryAnn's autopsy would prove that she had been right about the drugging. Someone was drugging her. She had a sleeping aid in her system and had died due to blunt force trauma to the head, as we know. When questioned by the police, George denied any conflict and gave an extensive alibi. Once again, comical. His alibi is pretty shocking.
Yeah, let's hear it.
The weirdest alibi that we've heard on this show, I would say. He said that on the night of the homicide, he had left work that day and enjoyed several vodka and squirts at the backyard bar and grill with his wife, followed by some brandy old fashions at the Singapore bar and grill. So bouncing around from bar to bar, getting hammered, where he then bought a $50 gift card.
Yeah, why would he do that if he knew she was going to be dead? right? I mean,
As an
he
alibi
definitely didn't kill her.
to prove that he liked her, and
Yeah.
you know, he definitely wasn't the guy that bludgeoned her to
No,
death.
he definitely didn't kill her. He couldn't have. He bought a $50
Then
gift card.
he said, after having several vodka and brandy drinks, he took his granddaughter to safety first driving
good.
school and visited a tanning salon. So he's driving his granddaughter around drunk. That's
Safety
his alibi
first.
for the night of the murder.
Safety first.
Safety first. See the irony that the place is called Safety First when he's driving her there drunk.
Okay, so you went and got
What a
drunk,
good guy.
drove around drunk with your granddaughter, and then went and got skin cancer. That's your okay, cool. No, I'm just
Right.
kidding. Wow, he is the type of douche that would go to a tanning
probably-
salon. Though.
Oh, for sure, right? He's man.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
It was a great contrast to his snow white hair, I'm sure.
He did have a bit of like a stand-in for a mob film.
Yeah, you
look,
kind of have
didn't
that.
he?
You kind of.
Like one of the guys that gets whacked. He looks like one of the guys that gets the
Yeah,
piano
he's like
wire.
the stunt double for Bob Barker.
Yeah. Meanwhile, 26 hours into the investigation, a witness called the police. A man that lived along the Rock River called and said that he had discovered a large black garbage bag on the ice. So you're driving over this bridge and you see a black trash bag sitting on white ice. Everything's white. It's going to stick out like a sore thumb. And then you also, that morning, may have caught the news and seen that a local businesswoman that was beloved by her community was murdered.
Right.
And you're thinking, that's interesting. A bridge, a black trash bag on the ice. I might want to call this in.
Oh, dude, I know. But if I called in every black trash bag I saw on the side of the road, right?
True that. I know we've seen the memes,
I always
right?
think it's something.
I can't be the only one that assumes every black trash bag on the side of the road is a
Right.
dead body. And to be fair, probably 1 out of 30 is.
1 out of 30.
So
Man,
that's my odds, I think.
That might even be low. I mean,
Yeah,
unless
maybe.
you're talking, I mean,
if we're going sportsbook odds
But there
here,
is-
I'm going to set the line at over 30.
right. I think most of the time it's just road cleanup crews. At least that's where you
Yeah.
should dump your body. Like if you see a road cleanup crew with a bunch of trash bags, just throw your bag in there.
No, if we've learned anything, you do the Bob Berdella routine and you put the body in the trash and you leave it out at
Oh
the
yeah,
curb.
no big deal, right?
And
Just
it
put it out at the front of your house.
Yeah, you freeze it first,
Yeah.
and then you put it out there so it doesn't stink. Maybe even put it in front of your neighbor's house just to kind of throw them off if they do catch it.
Right.
At least get yourself some more time.
Yeah, exactly. While they're questioning
Especially
them, you
if
can
you don't
dip.
like your neighbor, then it's just a double whammy.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Man, whole other hate thy neighbor episode right there.
Right. Fear thy neighbor. So, police, with the help of a local utility company, used a large ladder truck to hoist this is a big ordeal, getting this bag, because this is dangerous. You had semi-frozen ice on a river. There was patches of ice, and then there was patches of
Right.
water. And you had to have this big boom truck come out and on the bridge, put a big old freaking hoist out there and get this trash bag off the ice. And it paid off because inside the bag were gloves, MaryAnn's purse with all of her identification in it, a hammer, and a yellow sweater. This yellow sweater, which formerly belonged to Al Zullo. This was a historic sweater here.
What? Zullo's not
This was
dead?
Al Zullo's sweater.
Holy shit! Zulu came back from the dead and did it.
No, this sweater was like a thing that was used to
It was
remember
a
Al Zullo
keepsake,
by. It was like
right.
It was a keepsake. It was a staple of this business. It had hung around the office well beyond Al Zullo's death and was worn by many in the office on days where it was kind of chilly in the office. People would throw that sweater on. And it's just kind of eerie that it took part in this murder. You know what I mean? The killer wore this. It was clear that the killer had worn this sweater because there was blood spatter all over
Yeah.
it.
Isn't it
It had MaryAnn's blood on the outside.
It's
of
like
it.
a symbol of the business. That sweater is how it died
It
with
is.
this
It's
murder.
It's eerie. It's eerie. That's something that almost should be like in a crime museum. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know this is a lesser known
Yeah.
crime,
It's just
but like that thing is that's the picture of this story. Almost it could be the artwork for this episode, Michael, is like that yellow sweater with
if that
blood
sweater
on it.
could talk, right? The shit that it's seen.
Yeah, the shit it's
Oh
seen.
my God.
Went from being on the owner for many
Yeah.
years and then being worn by people around the office and being worn in the murder of one of the pivotal people
And
in
I'm
this
sure
office.
I'm sure
Bizarre.
it hung in the office of MaryAnn or George, I'm sure, on a coat rack or something,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
And I just had an image flash in my mind of how bizarre that must have looked. A man in a yellow sweater, like an old yellow sweater, using a hammer on a woman's head. Just
Yeah.
like a
leather
horror
gloves
movie,
on.
really. Yeah, just like a fucking horror movie.
It's freaky.
His stupid fake tan and his white teeth, his dentures.
Yeah, he's a creep, bro.
So then police get another witness. A man named Jim Webster, who was a highway supervisor, also called the police. He had no idea that this piece of information was about to reveal the killer. At around 6:30 a.m., 2 hours before the garbage bag was discovered, Jim saw a man on the side of the road looking down at the river. Jim said he stopped and asked the man if he needed help. He described the man as being in his 50s to 60s with white hair. He had also said the man never answered him but gave him a blank look.
Yeah.
Jim went to the police station after telling another officer what he had saw that day. And there was also a woman who reported an SUV going back and forth on the bridge. And when she found out that there was this, suspicious trash bag with murder accoutrement in it, found on the ice on the other side of that bridge, she reported what she had seen. And what she had seen was this white SUV going back and forth on the bridge, and it had coincidentally a vanity license plate that said Zullo 51, which
that's kind of unmistakable.
was clear that it was somebody who worked for the business of Al Zullo's.
This is
Al Zullo's.
This is one of many reasons why I don't get a vanity plate.
Right. Although, if you're not out murdering people, it can almost prove your innocence. It's like,
yeah, it can, but it also tells everybody who knows you and knows that car where you are. Like if they go in, they're like, "Oh, look, Mike's here. Let me go in here and bother him while he's in Walmart or whatever the fuck." You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm like, nah. I would rather just drive a car that a lot of people have with a insignificant tag.
Yeah, and I generally don't even have stickers or anything recognizable on my vehicle either. Is it just for the same reason? I'm like, I don't really have to prove anything to strangers on the roadway.
Exactly. And when you put a sticker on your car, this is what I don't like about it. It's like, let's say you have 2 stickers on your car, and that's the only thing. People are going to think you all about those 2 things, knowing damn well that ain't true.
To be fair, if it's a creeper sticker, if it's a gold creep van sticker, then I'm all about it.
Oh yeah, well for sure, yeah. But what I'm saying is I think people that put the gold creep van sticker on their car, they also have other things. They have all their interests, and I feel like I just don't have enough space on my window. I don't want people to get the wrong idea of me. I don't want them to think that I'm just into this or just into that, or because I have this sticker.
Well, you could
I'm
be one of those
this.
people that has 8,000 stickers on their car.
Yeah.
Then, just to really encapsulate every part of yourself.
That would be what I need to do, and there's no way I'm doing that.
You got to have the stick family.
No,
then you got to have
forget it. Forget it. Yeah, I don't have the window space for all that. But yeah, it's cool either way. Right. It's cool either way.
So, police at this point had no doubt that they had their guy. George, in their opinion, had clearly gone to the bridge. They had his license. They had his vehicle going back and forth on that bridge. He had plenty of motive, and it seemed as though he had thrown the murder bag off the Roscoe Bridge onto the Rock River, but it landed on ice, which is just so comical.
And most of the river was thawed at the time. He just happened to hit a patch of ice. He's got to be like, fuck!
Fucking idiot, dude.
It's not like there was an ice fishing hole he was trying to hit. The whole 70% of the river was thawed.
I just hope it was one little 3x3 patch of ice.
Great.
And it just happened to land exactly on that.
That'd be great. And apparently there was no way down to it, man.
No, hell no.
There was no way of getting down to it.
In the Forensic Files episode, there was a female detective that was talking about it, and she was like, I just would have liked to seen his face when he threw that bag over, and instead of hearing a splash, he just heard a flop.
Fuck. It's just sitting there all neatly preserved, and it's cold too, so stuff doesn't even start to, deteriorate at all. Oh, yeah, it's perfect.
No, it's just basically preserved perfectly, and everyone that drives over that bridge sees this suspicious black bag sitting on a white patch of ice.
Beautiful.
You literally couldn't have put it in a worse spot. It's the most obvious thing ever. Someone in the comments of the Forensic Files YouTube video put you literally couldn't have made it more obvious unless you put a speaker playing the national anthem or something out down there with it.
I just don't get it. Someone who ran a construction and contracting business, there were so many other ways to get rid of evidence and to dispose of anything.
Shit, right? You had to have a trash service or big dumpsters or
Yeah, right? You don't have an incinerator on site or something. I just don't get it. I mean, I'm glad he's stupid because he deserves to pay for this. Not only that,
I also just don't understand why you had to get rid of her fucking purse in the first place. They're clearly going to know that it's MaryAnn. You killed her in her workplace. What's the point of getting rid of the fucking, What is
so
the
it looks
point?
like a robbery.
I don't get it. Just leave her purse there.
So it looks like a robbery. That's it. That's the only thing I can think of. He's trying to be more confusing.
He didn't do a good job of that, clearly, because they determined right away that it was a staged robbery. Because nothing else was taken other than her damn purse. So just because you open some drawers doesn't mean anything's gone. Like,
yeah, exactly. Well, he wasn't that bright. He didn't think through all that.
Yeah. So there was evidence aplenty as the police began to look further into George. Skin cells found on the inside collar of the sweater that was used in the murder matched George's DNA profile. Now, to his, to go, kind of play his side a little bit, it was known that people around the office would wear that thing frequently, so it is possible that he wore it that day, put it back on the coat hanger in the office, and then someone else put it on, but unlikely. I mean, really, what's more likely here? Really. And even more damning, likewise, the gloves that were found in the trash bag that contained MaryAnn's blood on the outside also contained George's DNA on the inside. That's...
Yes, and I think
that's less smoking gun.
And I think it goes without saying, these gloves definitely fit. Yeah, they fit perfect.
Must not acquit.
Must not acquit.
And even more comical, inside the SUV, police found a rope and a fishing hook because he was apparently trying to retrieve the trash bag off the fucking ice.
I just see him there running like some kind of like Sandlot operation. To the left.
Imagine people are driving by and you're just throwing this fucking grappling hook off the side, trying to get this trash bag back. Shit. God, he's a dipshit with his vanity plate that says the name of the business in which he killed the woman. Oh my God.
Bro, you know what would be easier? I just thought about this in hindsight. If you took a shotgun over to the bridge, pulled up when no one was coming across, shot the ice right below the bag and drive away, dumbass.
There you go. See? That's using your brain.
Jesus. He's sitting here trying to fish it out with a hook.
Make sure when you throw something off a bridge that it's going to land in water and not ice. Man, that'd be, let's do it right the first time.
Well, I'm sure he threw it off at dark, right? I mean, you're talking wintertime in Illinois. It was after work, so it was probably 6, 7 o'clock. Yeah. It was definitely dark. But still, it's so funny. It's perfect. It's perfect karma for him. He deserves it.
Yeah, it's great. This guy never stood a chance at not getting caught.
Oh, no. Even if he throws it in the water, he's still fucked.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even if they didn't find that bag of large damning evidence, they were still going to get him.
Yeah. Maybe he gets a lighter sentence or actually, possibly gets off on parole later on.
Maybe he could work out some sort of a plea deal, right?
Because there won't be nothing concrete to really tie him. It'll all be circumstantial, and then the circumstantial he has an excuse for, like his DNA on the sweater, shit like that. But even the sweater wouldn't have been found, so...
Yeah. So after they learned of this information, the police surveilled George. He had gone to a bar, unshockingly, and sat down to play video poker at a bar where he was arrested. When the police searched him, they found a pink sleeping aid pill in his pocket, which matched the type of sleeping aid that was found in MaryAnn's cup at work. There's just another thing tying him. Like, you couldn't have gotten rid of that fucking pill, you idiot.
Right.
Like,
apparently he didn't even stir her coffee up to dissolve the pill. He just threw it in the bottom of the cup and then poured coffee on it. And just let it sit in her cup, because there's actually a crime scene.
The pill capsule just floats to the top.
There's
what is this?
Well, there's like a crime scene photo of one of the last cups she used, and it looks like gum almost in the bottom of her cup, and it's just sitting there, all that residue. Yeah. It just sat there and dissolved and stayed flat at the bottom, and so she's gonna see it after she finishes every cup of coffee. I mean,
right, and it had to have made her coffee taste like shit,
right? And also George was also always known to bring her coffee, rather. Always brought her coffee.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that was nice of him.
Yeah.
At least on the times where there wasn't poison in it.
But when was that? It could have been never. He could have been giving her those sleeping pills forever, dude.
He's been doing it for the last 30 years.
She just thinks she's...
Like, this bitch doesn't die.
She just thinks she's old and her energy level is running low or whatever. Yeah. She just adapted. It's crazy. Who knows how long he was doing that to her, though, honestly. Who knows?
Yeah, no, for real. Yeah, I mean, he may have been doing it just to make her sleepy so that she wasn't catching on to his money laundering and shit as easily. And
Yeah, no doubt.
So on September 27, 2005, George would go on trial. He told police that his story was that he had arrived at Al Zullo and panicked when he saw MaryAnn dead. So his initial story was that he had nothing to do with any of it, and he just walked in with the other employee and found her. But then after the trash bag's found and all this evidence connecting him to the trash bag is there, all his DNA inside the gloves and all that, he came up with a new plan in which he said that when he walked in, he knew that he would be blamed for it. So he took all the evidence, the sweater, the gloves, put it in a bag and got rid of it. And he's like, that's where I screwed up. I shouldn't have done that. Oh, you think?
Yeah, that's what sane murderers do. They think they're going to get blamed for the murder they
Right.
just did. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Exactly. Yeah. So despite his story, the prosecution laid out their overwhelming case against George. It was revealed that George and MaryAnn had $150,000 life insurance policies on each other. That year, some of the Christmas cards received from vendors and subcontractors included notes saying that they hadn't been paid. MaryAnn discovered George was pocketing the money that was owed to them. He falsified the books to hide his theft, which totaled around $100,000, which makes sense now that he would kill her because, look, if you're getting busted for $100,000 in corruption here or
for embezzlement.
What do they call it? Fraud. Yeah, $100,000 in fraud. You got it's kind of perfect that you got a person you could kill and get $150,000 life insurance payout on them, and then you can kind of
you can even out the books.
Cancels out that
That's
problem.
right. You even out the books. You still have money in the bank,
and then you get the business to yourself, and it all goes on.
And you have $50,000 extra to float you until things pick back up.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was a great plan.
So, MaryAnn had even told police and her doctor about her suspicions of what had been going on with the fraud and with him potentially poisoning her. The day she died, MaryAnn stayed late at the office to confront George about the embezzlement, according to her boyfriend. That was the only person that knew. He was aware of the fraud that had been going on. He was aware that Al Zullo's was actually on the verge of bankruptcy because of George's embezzling and all the money they owed to different contractors and things like that.
Right.
So MaryAnn was trying to get all this squared away before she retired, and she was going to confront George about it. It's not clear why she chose to meet him alone after the frightening incidents in which he attempted to kill her. Even her friend Linda Cleveland recalled that over breakfast at a pancake place in early December 2004, MaryAnn said that she feared something bad was on the horizon.
Maybe she just didn't think George would ever go that far. She's like, I've known him for 30 years. Like, he's not going to do that.
He did seem like a dipshit and like he was not really great at following through on something like this. So you can see by all of the cowardly attempts at
all the sneaky, snarky stuff he's doing behind the scenes. Yeah, it leads you to believe he just doesn't have the balls to do it. He's not going to do it.
Yeah, but when it came down to, I think this became like a moment of just rage when the confrontation went down and they were both alone in the office. He finally did it. He just finally snapped.
She gave him an ultimatum. She said, "You're going to come clean about this, or I am." I mean, I'm sure that's what happened. I mean, she's a stand-up woman,
and he was potentially looking at jail time.
No doubt.
So, the prosecutors told the jury that George was wearing the yellow sweater while beating MaryAnn with a hammer during the argument over the missing money. After the initial attack, George opened some drawers to make it look like the place had been ransacked, then realized MaryAnn was still alive and beat her again. He stuffed the evidence into the garbage bag, including the purse, so that the attack would look like a burglary that turned into a homicide. And in her closing statement, Margie O'Connor, the prosecutor, warned the jury about George's guile. She said, quote, "He made his living as a salesman and is trying to make the sale of his life."
Yep.
And not doing a very good job of it, apparently. Assistant Public Defender Frank Perry maintained that George was guilty on only stupidity and selfishness. Definitely guilty of stupidity as well as murder, I would say.
Yeah.
And selfishness.
Oh, yeah, lots of selfishness.
For sure he's guilty of all three. How about that?
Nope.
The trifecta. And that the contents of the garbage bag added up to nothing more than circumstantial evidence. There was no blood in his car. Although there was bloody gloves with his DNA on the inside and hers on the outside, a sweater with his DNA on the inside and hers on the outside. I don't know how much more you could have. Literally, I've never... Have you ever seen a case with more perfectly preserved fucking forensic evidence than this? Like DNA on the outside of a glove of the murdered woman and then DNA of the murderer on the inside? I mean, that's like a perfect shut and close case right there.
That's closed book. We're done. Thanks for coming, everybody. Let's go get lunch.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a prosecutor, you're like, this is exactly what you're hoping for. This is like the perfect fucking dream scenario.
That's two smoking guns. Let's go.
Yeah, and like the bag is found, and there was like the person that worked with her was seen driving back and forth on the bridge where the bag was found with his vanity license plate. I mean, you just can't have a more perfect case.
Absolutely not. Absolutely, and all the motive in the world to do it.
Yes, exactly. A life insurance policy, once again, that he benefits from. So on September 30th, George was found guilty of first-degree murder and was sentenced to 60 years in prison without the possibility of parole. The police said it took longer to find a foreman than it did to convict George. They're just poking at him, even still after he gets convicted. I love it.
Way to go, Brainiac.
And George still maintains his innocence as he serves his sentence at the Pontiac Correctional Center, maximum security prison. I love it when they actually interview the murderer themselves in like the Forensic Files episode. And, it's funny because it's like early on, you're like, hey, this is a guy that worked with her. This is like a main suspect. And he's like sitting here being interviewed. But then you look and you're like, wait, he's wearing a blue jumpsuit. Like this is a little suspicious here.
Well, they tried to film him, from the collar up. So you could have thought he was just wearing like a blue collared shirt at first. But then when you look at the blank walls behind him and shit, you're like, dude, that's literally what gave it away for me. That was my only complaint about the Forensic Files episode. I'm like, fuck, George did it.
Yeah, put a painting or something behind him so that you don't give it away right away.
Yeah, seriously, give him a suit jacket to wear or something. Throw that shit over him. Like, what's the big deal? He gave it away. But still an interesting story. A crazy case on how just day-to-day operations can turn downright deadly.
Yeah, and don't ignore your spidey senses. Like she had plenty of, MaryAnn. We're not victim blaming by any means, but she was suspicious that her business partner may want to kill her. She told her friends this. There were signs pointing to this. She'd been drugged. And the couch she was sleeping on caught fire. For God's sake,
you just never know what extent people are willing to go to save their ass.
Don't ignore these signs. Is all we're saying because this is. Eventually, they may go further than you think they're willing to go. Like
Hell
this.
Yeah. You know what else goes way?
And sadly,
go ahead.
Sadly, this would spell the end of Al Zullo's remodeling, as it had also been closed and was left in shambles after the murder. Several people called because they hadn't been paid and homes were left unfinished.
Wow.
So there's some homes out there that are, in a way, like a memorial because it's like half done by Al Zullo's and then half done by whoever else.
Still got that Zullo construction.
Had to come in and finish the
Still
job.
got that Zullo construction yard sign in the yard, just rotting away.
Yeah.
Almost completed by Zullo Construction.
Yeah, right.
Wow. What a case, guys. Man. What a case.
Yep. One of the dumber murderers we've ever covered, for sure.
No doubt.
And tragic from the standpoint of MaryAnn, who seemed like a really, really great woman. So
yes, and at that point of her life, just about to hit those golden years.
I know, it's a bummer. It's such a bummer.
Such a bummer, man. All right,
guys, if you can buy out your retirement early, just do it because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know what I mean?
You really don't, man. Especially nowadays, this world's crazy.
If you got a year left and you know maybe you'll get $100 less per month or something, just get out because you could fucking have a heart attack tomorrow and then you worked all that time and you never even got to enjoy your money.
I feel that so much.
Or someone could beat you over the head with a hammer. You just don't know.
You do not know. You do not know. But
and the best thing is, your retirement will go further if you're using Oh My God deodorant with our code word Creeper because you're going to save 10%.
That's true. That's true.
That's going to help you.
That's true. And Oh My God, it just naturally lasts longer than your typical deodorant
that as well. More bang for your buck.
That's right, guys. If you don't know what Oh My God is.
And less likely to get cancer or something like that because you're not putting in aluminum in pits. Getting cancer is expensive.
That's right. Cancer may be the most expensive thing to have.
A lot of treatment.
Yeah, seriously. Guys, Oh My God, you got to try it. It's an innovative, all-natural deodorant, fragrance, and beard oil company specializing in paraben and aluminum-free products. Their innovative line of deodorants inhibit the growth of odor-causing bacteria while maintaining effectiveness. At Oh My Gaia, they use only all-natural, paraben, and aluminum-free organic ingredients. And guys, there's definitely a scent for you and your style, or you could, like I do, I like to get multiple scents. I like to mix it up. But there's tons of scents from vanilla, cherry almond, sandalwood, lavender, lemongrass, Egyptian musk, coconut, dreamsicle, leather, lumberjack, honeysuckle, fireside, bergamot amber, barbershop, sailor, sweet pea, pear. And true crime, guys, we have our very own scent called True Crime Pine that has our OG podcast logo on there, the very first one me and Lauren started with way back in January of 2017. And you guys can get that anytime you want at ohmygaia.com or at shop_ohmygaia on Instagram. And because you guys are True Crime Guys listeners, you can use the word Creeper for 15% off. CREEPER. And again, that's at shop_ohmygaia on Instagram and ohmygaia.com. OHMYGAIA.com. Guys, you won't regret it.
Yeah, and do you want to shout out, plug Patreon real quick? Patreon and our other show, Sandu, while I look up some people to shout out for writing reviews for us?
Absolutely. Love to tell people what's going on Patreon. Patreon.com/truecrimeguys. Real quick, right below the description of this episode, you will see a link to True Crime Guys link tree. It says everything True Crime Guys. Click that link, guys, and you can get to the Patreon. You can get to our show on Spotify. You can get to our merch sites. And you can also get access to our other show, Strange and Unexplained. But patreon.com is where we put all of our extra content. We do another show every Friday called Just the Banter, where on Thursdays we make a post on Patreon. We ask listeners and patrons any questions they have for us, any would you rather scenarios, anything like that. It's all fair game. You drop your questions on Thursday. On Friday morning, we record them, and then we post it on Friday night. Every single week, you get some type of interaction with us from True Crime Guys. And then every fourth episode is a Patreon exclusive, which will only be released on Patreon. So if you don't see an episode on the free feed, it's because we're over on Patreon that week. So for just $2 a month, you guys can get access to that free episode. And Just the Banter is on the $5 tier. And then on the $10 tier, we do a monthly Zoom call with listeners. As well as you get your prestigious creep sticker, the Golden Creep Van sticker, which you can also get at the $5 tier. So a lot going on at patreon.com/True Crime Guys. And if you're already a patron and you're already caught up, you're like, Michael, I already know about all that stuff. Well, do you know about Strange and Unexplained that gets released every Monday on the free platform? It is another show on True Crime Guys Productions where we talk about unsolved, missing persons, weird phenomenon, a little more cult shit. We do a lot of that stuff over there. Cases that don't get a lot of coverage. Cases involving missing people of color. All that type of stuff. We like to talk about that stuff on Strange and Unexplained, where I give you the background, I give you the facts, maybe a little music, whatnot, and then Lauren gives you his synopsis of the case where he studies separately. And we do that every week on Strange and Unexplained. So, and if you love that show and you want to support that show, there's also a Patreon for that show, patreon.com/S&U podcast.
You got a little taste of Sandu stories last week on the main feed here.
Yes,
and
that's right.
If you don't like that, I don't know what to tell you. That was an awesome story. Very well written by Michael and his wife. And I would like to say that I think I did a decent job of playing an old man in that as a voice actor.
You did a phenomenal job. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you did to get that voice? I was surprised.
I went full Godfather, and I put a cotton ball in my bottom lip just to kind of make my cadence a little different and my voice sound a little different, and give me a little bit of a hiss to my voice or like a whistle.
Yeah,
I got really into it.
It really worked, man. You sounded like you were on your deathbed at times. It was crazy.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a lot of fun doing that episode. So.
Yeah, that was awesome. And I'm a big fan of Alcatraz history too. I did the tour a few years back and had such a great time that I love just hearing stories about that. So,
hell yeah. Right on.
All right, let's get into some shout outs for people that have taken the time to go and rate and review the show on iTunes. I want to say thank you to Joker314 in the U.S. said, binge-worthy, recently found and have been hooked. By the way, I'll be in Vegas next week. Go Ravens. So I'm guessing he's in town currently and going to the Monday night game in Las Vegas, the Raiders versus the Ravens. And hey, I'm cool with that because I'm not a Raider guy by any means. Yeah, and just because I grew up in Vegas doesn't mean I'm going to become a Raider fan. So,
although I hope the Raiders do well, I have two of their key players on my fantasy team. So
you do have Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller on your fantasy league that we are running on Patreon. That's another perk of Patreon. You can get in on things like that, true. Interactive things. We have all patron members in a 12-man league with us. So
yes, sir.
And you got to feel for the Ravens as well, losing 3 out of their 4 running backs in a week to season-ending injuries. Just horrible luck so far for them. So
yeah, we'll see how that plays out.
We'll see if they can still make it work. Then we got Jay Kinda in the U.S. said, one of my favorite podcasts, second to True Crime Kent, but still great pod and would suggest to anyone.
Crime Kent is pretty good. That's Dark Topic production, or 1159 Productions, rather. That's Luna's involved in that, and the operator. That is a funny show. That's a cool show.
Yeah. Then we got Daniel in Orlando in the U.S. said, good men do exist. Well-researched conversations about some dark subjects and like hanging out with your best intelligent bros. Thank you.
Wow. I don't know about intelligent, but we appreciate that, bro.
We try. I mean, we try to sound smart every now and then,
Yeah. Every now and then we hit a lick.
Yeah. And then every now and then our dumb selves comes out.
True that. I mean, it's inevitable, right? With this many hours on the mic, you're going to say a lot of dumb shit. Yeah. I've just accepted it. I'm sure you have as well.
Those of you listening, you probably would too.
Oh, yeah. They know. They know already.
All right, everybody. Well, We're about to go watch some football. It's week 1. You guys that are listening to this on Wednesday already know what went down, but man, we're about to enjoy the chaos. So I hope you guys have a fantastic week. If you're a Patreon member, we'll see you Friday for just the banter. Otherwise, we'll see you for another episode next week. That's it. All right, keep creeping.
True crime guys, in the desert we like a mirage. It's okay if you clicked on us cause you thought we was True Crime Garage. Now we ain't mad at you. Sit down, let us talk at you. I'm talking to the creeper army. We out here making murder, get murder, get murder. True crime guys, in the desert we like a mirage. It's okay if you clicked on us cause you thought we was True Crime Garage. Now we ain't mad at you. Sit down, let us talk at you. I'm talking to the creeper army. We out here making murder charming.